All right, everyone. Today we're making yet another tier list. This time about all of the Rainbow Six Siege operators.
Well, of all of the games we've done, R6 is definitely the best.
And now we have to sit through Trump's horrendous takes.
Shut the hell up, George. My opinions are always the best, believe me. At least they're better than Sleepy Joe's. Speaking of which, where the hell is he?
I don't know. Let me add him to the call.
Hey guys, sorry for being so late. I was taking a nap. What are we doing?
Of fucking course you were sleeping. Whatever, we're making a siege tier list.
Now that Joe is here, we can begin. First is Captain. What are your thoughts?
I'd say A tier. His traps have always been really good, and now that the meta is team deathmatch, he is even better.
His guns are pretty good and his secondary gadgets are good too.
He is all around a pretty good operator. Drop him in. A. Obama.
Bet. Next is Tachanka.
Ah yes, a truly S-tier operator. There is no need to discuss. Just put him in S. Obama.
Slow your fucking roll, Sloppy Joe. Tachanka is dog shit.
Yeah, Joe, explain yourself.
Simple, he is a god amongst men.
Of fucking course your slow ass still likes the Lord Tachanka meme. Joe, that meme died years ago.
Yeah, Joe, Chanka is absolute dog shit. His rework did nothing for the character. He goes F tier.
Come on, Barry, my opinion has to count for something.
Hell no, Joe. Chanka is F tier whether you like it or not. Next up is Glaz. Honestly, he's pretty mid.
Mid is the right word, George. His sniper is all right, but other than that, he's pretty worthless.
I don't really like Glaz that much. It's pretty hard to hit my shots with him.
That's because you're a noob, Joe. Anyways, I think C tier is a good place for Glaz.
No arguments here.
To finish off the OG Russians, we have Fuse. He got a bit of a buff this season. He can now place his charges on deployable shields and Osa's Talon shields.
Even with that minuscule buff, he's not that good. Even though he has one of the best guns on attack, he's still a 3 armor, which makes him really loud.
You bring up some good points, Donnie. Fuse is carried by his guns, in my opinion. The AK-12 is a great assault rifle with low recoil, making Fuse a very beginner-friendly operator.
I think Fuse should be B tier. The AK-12 is definitely the best part of his kit, but his gadget is still useful.
That's way too high for him. I say D tier.
There are a lot of opinions on Fuse. I personally think he's average. How about we meet in the middle and put him in C tier?
I'm cool with that.
Next is IQ. I think she's all right, probably C tier.
Honestly, I think D tier. Her gadget is pretty worthless. The only reason to really pick her is to counter Solus. But even then, that doesn't really help her.
Like most operators, the only reason why anyone ever picks her is for her guns.
Even if you can use her to find cameras, you have a drone that can find them. Up next is Blitz. I think this is an easy one. Should I just drop him in D?
Hell no! Blitz is S tier.
What the fuck, Don? You actually like Blitz?
Of course I do. His shield reminds me of my big, beautiful wall. That alone makes him S tier.
Bruh, I can't believe what I'm hearing.
Donnie, this has to be your worst take ever? Blitz isn't good. The only reason he is an F tier is because his shield can actually be useful in some situations.
Shut the fuck up, Abunga. Blitz should be S tier.
Nah, put his ass in D, Obama.
Gladdy. Next is Bandit.
After Cade was released, Bandit has become irrelevant. I personally say B tier.
Even if Cade is the better of the two of them, Bandit is still useful. Not only that, but he has the MP7, probably the best SMG in the game.
Good point, George. While Bandit is outclassed by Cade, he still is a very good operator. What do you think, Joe?
God damn it.
Joe, wake your ass up.
Huh? Oh, sorry guys, what were we talking about?
We were talking about Bandit before you dozed off.
Oh, I like Bandit, A tier.
I think A tier is fair. To finish off the GSG-9, we have Jaeger. Honestly, I think he's S tier.
Very valid opinion, Obama. Jaeger is super strong. His gadget is one of the best on defense.
Jaeger is the one that can destroy grenades, right?
That is correct, Joe. The fact he can do that is pretty great.
Oh yeah, his ADS things are really useful.
It seems we're all in agreement for putting Jaeger in S tier. Next is Rook. Honestly, he's all right, I guess. Just a bit average.
Honestly, I think C tier. His gadget is literally just an armor pack.
There isn't a whole lot to say about Rook, so I'm cool with C.
Drop him in C, Obama.
Will do.
Now we have Doc, a pretty good operator.
I think B, his stim pistol is pretty good. It's just like my Adderall.
Not only does he have a good gadget, his guns aren't half bad either.
I think B is a good spot for him. Now we have Twitch, honestly another mid-operator.
I think C tier. Her drone is garbage and the F2 has been nerfed into the ground. It's sad to see how far she has fallen.
I guess the only reason you would use Twitch is if Thatcher was banned, but even then there are operators with EMP grenades, so still pretty worthless.
Her guns are hard to control, especially the F2. God, I hate that gun.
Put her in C Obama.
Gotcha.
Now we have Montaigne, another S-tier operator.
Again, are you saying he's S tier because his shield looks like a wall?
You bet your ass that's why, George.
Bruh, Donnie, the only wall you should be worried about right now are the walls of prison.
Shut the hell up, Obama, I'm innocent.
This mugshot says otherwise.
Damn, got bro looking like a Disney villain.
I'll have you know that I was released, so shut your bitch asses up.
Can we rank Monty now?
Oh yeah, completely forgot about the list. I think Monty is B tier.
He is definitely more protected than Blitz, and with a good team, he can be even better. B works. Now we have Thermite.
He's useful, but he is outclassed by Ace.
Very true. I think B tier is a good place for him.
I don't really play hard breach operator, so whatever you guys are picking are cool with me.
B it is then. Now we have Ash.
I think A tier, she has really good guns.
Not only that, but she's a 3-speed.
Some might say her gadget isn't good because it is outclassed by Zofia, but it is still extremely useful. A is a good spot.
Putting her in A.
Next is Pulse.
He has a really niche gadget and his guns are mediocre. I say D tier.
D tier is a little low, Don, even though you bring up some good points. If you get a good map, then Pulse is instantly better.
Good point, George. I was thinking D tier myself, but now I'm thinking C tier.
I'm cool with C tier.
Next is Castle. I think he's super underrated.
Underrated? He's probably one of the worst defenders ever.
They'll take Joe.
Explain yourself, Joe.
Gladly. His armor panels are just ass. There's never a good place to put the damn things. And like Pulse, his guns are dog shit.
Seems like a skill issue.
That is possibly the worst take of all time. Joe, you're just a damn noob. You have to put the panels slightly out of the objective or on windows in order to get use. You can't just board up a room and think it's going to do anything.
I think Castle should go in B tier. I think if his guns were better, he would be a lot higher.
Valid opinion, George B. He goes.
Next is Thatcher. I don't think we need to discuss this one.
I don't think so.
Yep, S tier he goes.
I don't know, guys.
Shut up, Joe.
Now we have Smoke.
B tier. He just isn't as good as he was before, especially after he lost his deployable shield.
I think A tier, his gadget is useful and the FMG is a great gun.
I think A tier is too high for Smoke. He fell off. There are other operators that do his job better than him.
I'm going to have to agree with Donald and George on this one. He just isn't as good as he used to be.
Next is Sledge. He's one of the best operators for vertical play.
He's also one of the only attackers with frag grenades, making him even better.
Not only that, his gun is just great.
With all of this in mind, Sledge is worthy of an S tier ranking.
To finish off all of the Pathfinder operators, we have Mute.
It seems like Ubisoft was cooking with the SAS ops. Mute is also S tier.
He has one of the most useful gadgets on defense, and has two great primary options.
There isn't a whole lot to say about Mute that hasn't already been said. Put him in S Obama.
Okay. Next is Buck.
Buck is really strong, but with Sledge and Ram, he is really outclassed.
Even though those two outclass him, he is still an A tier operator, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think A tier works.
Next up is Frost. She got a major rework this season.
C tier. Her rework sucks major ass.
C tier is too low, Donnie. Her guns are still pretty good, and her mats are still great, I think. A tier.
Even though attackers can get out of her mats, the fact that she can track them for a whole minute is really good. Definitely A tier.
Shut the fuck up, Joe. Your old ass can barely stay awake for a minute.
At least I'm not going to be dropping the soap, you dumbass tangerine.
Gentlemen, calm down. You all raised some good points. I say A tier myself, so that's where she goes.
Fine, whatever, a bummer. Next is the most miserable attacker in the game, Blackbeard.
There isn't really anything to say about Blackbeard. He's just dog shit.
Not only does his gun suck major ass, but his gadget is fucking abysmal.
Put his ass in F, Barry.
Now we have Valkyrie. I think S tier. If placed in a good spot, her cams can be legendary.
Not only that, but the MPX is pretty good.
And she has a nitro cell.
I think she should be S purely on how useful she is.
That's fair. Next is Kepito. I wonder what your thoughts on him are.
I think B tier. He is definitely useful, but with the current meta, he's less useful.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Donnie. I think S tier, not only does he bring great utility, but he also has great fragging capability.
S tier is way too high. I'll admit that he's a good operator. He's not that good.
I think S tier is fair, Don. He can hide and protect the diffuser and has hard breach charges.
There seem to be a lot of opinions. How about we meet in the middle at A tier?
I'm cool with that.
It's fine.
Next is Kavira.
I think D tier. She has a very selfish kit and only really works against a team that doesn't drone well.
Yeah, unlike Solus and Vigil, she can't counter drones.
I nominate Cav to the D tier.
Next is Hibana. She's really strong.
Her whole kit is really solid. I say S tier.
S tier is a little too high. A tier is more suitable. Even though she can get hatches and has a great kit, she can't open up walls at all.
I agree with George. She's a great operator that would be S tier as she was better at opening walls.
Dog shit takes. All of you. Walls are meant to be built, not destroyed.
Well, Hibana is going in A tier whether you like it or not, Donnie.
Fine, whatever this list is taking forever anyways.
Next up is Echo.
I think B tier. He has a great kit, but isn't nearly as good as he was before.
Yeah, removing the invisibility of his yokai drones was stupid as fuck.
On God, Donnie, even though his drones aren't invisible anymore, he is still one of the only defenders with a 1.5 scope.
I think B tier is fair. He can still deny plants and has a good gun.
Next up is probably one of the weirdest and most annoying operators in the damn game, Jackal. I mean, he literally analyzes your fucking feet and tracks you. F tier just for that.
Hold on, Cheeto Man. Foot fetishes aside, I think Jackal is a solid operator. B tier at the highest.
Hell no. Jackal is similar to Sleepy Creepy Joe, but instead of sniffing shoulders, he sniffs feet.
What the fuck, Don? I literally didn't even say anything. Just for that, Jackal should go in B tier.
Enough squabbling, you guys. Since Trump can't seem to form a proper opinion on Jackal, he goes B tier.
That seems fair.
Fine, but George, if you ever pull some shit like that again, I'll kick your ass.
Keep talking shit, Donnie.
Next up is Mira. Honestly, I think she's S tier.
S tier is fair. She makes one-way bulletproof mirrors. We could use those on my wall to see if any illegal aliens are trying to cross.
Well, Donnie's racist remarks aside, Mira is definitely an S tier operator.
Yeah, the Vector is one of the best SMGs in Siege. That alone makes her pretty good.
Well, in that case, Mira goes in S. Next is Ying. She is really useful for rushing the site. I think A tier.
The T-95 is a great LMG and her candelas are super useful.
I don't really play Ying, so I don't care where you guys put her.
Same here.
All right, A tier she goes. Now we have Legion. He got a crazy rework this season. He has more goo mines and they recharge faster. But now they no longer have cloaking and are now mechanical, meaning EMPs don't work on them.
I don't really get why they reworked him. He seemed fine before.
I agree with you on this one, Sleepy Joe. Now that he has this rework, he is easily an S tier.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Ubisoft decide to rework and buff characters that don't need it, while characters like Tachanka and Blackbeard are completely forgotten about.
It is unfortunate, George, but that aside, I think we should put Legion in S tier.
No problems here.
Now we have Zofia.
I think Zofia is very similar to Ashe, so A tier.
The only thing holding Zofia back from being better is the fact that she is a 3 armor. Other than that, she's pretty good.
Even if she is a 3 armor, her gadget is better than Ash's. A tier, works sparing.
Next up is Zofia's sister, Ella.
I say Ella is a C tier. Her gadget isn't that useful and she just doesn't have a lot of utility.
That isn't really fair, Donnie. You can't rate her off of her gadget alone. Even with a pretty mid gadget, she still has a good gun and a deployable shield. I think she's B tier.
I agree with George. Even if her gadget is pretty trash compared to other trap operators, she still has use.
I agree with George and Joe. Ella is a good operator, Don. She goes in B tier.
Fine, whatever.
Next up is Dokubi. Not only does she interrupt defender intel gathering, but she also helps track enemies.
For C tier, her guns suck ass and her gadget is lackluster at best.
Once again, we have a shitty take from Sleepy Joe. Dokubi is an S tier operator. Her guns might be a little underwhelming, but her gadget is extremely useful.
Not only that, but she can hack the defender's cameras. She is a truly S-tier operator.
I'm putting Dolka in S tier, and no Joe. Your opinion will not be taken into consideration.
Come on, man.
Next up is Vigil. He got nerfed last season. I think C tier.
C tier is fair. He isn't immune to a line scan or Grimm's bees anymore.
The only really redeeming things about his kit are the K1A and his impacts.
Put Vigil in C Obama.
Got it. Next is Finka.
She's mid, even though she counters Frost now. She just doesn't have a lot of utility.
Even if she can revive a teammate from the other side of the map, her gadget as a whole is lackluster.
I agree. I think C tier.
C tier works. Now we have Lion. I think A tier.
He's super useful, not only for roam clearing, but for also forcing the defenders to stay still, allowing you or your teammates to push while they aren't ready.
I think S tier, his kit is super strong. There isn't much that counter his gadget.
I think S tier is a little too high, George. He definitely is good, but not good enough to be an S. A tier is a good spot.
I say A is good.
It seems you're outnumbered, George. Lion goes in A.
All right. Next up is Alibi.
I think C tier. She fell off.
The only useful parts of her kit is the fact that she's a 3-speed with a good gun and she has the bailiff.
Other than that, she's pretty mid. Put her in C Obama.
Gotcha. Next is Maestro.
C tier. Yet another operator that fell off. I mean, how the fuck are they going to give him a gadget that is countered by almost every character in the game?
Even though he has one of the best primary guns in the game, his gadget is just too counterable.
Even though he is heavily countered, his gadget is still good, so C tier works.
Next is Maverick. Yet another C tier.
I think Maverick is too situational to be any higher than C.
If the enemy chooses a bomb site where Maverick is useful, he is really good. Other than that, he's mid.
I mean, the fact that you can't really even open a wall with him, even though he's a hard breacher, is wild.
Put him in C Obama.
Will do.
Next is Clash. C tier 4 times in a row is crazy.
What the hell do you mean C tier? Clash is...
I muted his ass. I don't want to hear any more about that goddamn wall.
Very valid, Obama. Anyways, Clash is definitely C tier. Like Monty, you need a good team in order to get use out of her.
I guess the only reason why she isn't lower than C is because she has a deployable shield and a super shorty.
Great takes. Both of you. I'll put Clash in C tier. And unmute Donnie.
If you ever mute me like that again, I'll kick your ass, Obunga.
Whatever Cheeto face, next up is Kate. I think this is another easy one.
Yeah, Kate is S tier.
Definitely.
Put him in S.
I thought so. Next is Nomad.
She's pretty useful. Her guns are good and her gadget is actually usable. I think B tier.
B tier is fair, George. Nomad is a pretty average operator.
Put her in B Obama.
Next is Gridlock.
I think A tier. She's better than Nomad at flank watching.
Even though she's a 3 armor, she still has a great gun and good gadget.
I think the only downside of her is the fact that she is a 3 armor. But other than that, she's really good. Put her in A tier Obama.
Okay. Next up we have Mozzie. I think B tier. He is super useful for restricting attacker info gathering.
Even though he can do that, he can only shut down 3 drones of 10, not counting Twitch, Flores, and Brava.
Even with that, he still has a great loadout. So I think B is fair.
Drop him in B Obama.
Next is Nuck.
She got nerfed last season and has kind of fallen off. I think B tier.
She no longer has silent step and isn't invisible to observation tools.
I feel that nerfing her in Vigil was unnecessary, but I think B tier is good.
Putting her in B.
Next is Warden.
S tier, he is a great operator.
I'll take Donnie. Warden is super overrated.
Yeah, the only reason people use him is because he has a good gun with a 1.5.
I think B tier is more fitting for Warden.
Wrong. So very wrong. Warden is S tier. Not only does he have a great gun, but he has an amazing gadget.
Amazing gadget? That shit is super situational.
Yeah, Donnie. Take the L on this one. Warden goes B tier.
Fine, whatever, you damn haters.
Next is Amaru.
F tier. She was made for fucking around in casual.
While you aren't wrong, I think Amaru should go in D tier just for how fun she is to play.
I think that's fair, George.
Yeah? While she was made for casual players that just want to have fun doesn't mean she's F tier. Donnie?
Whatever, I don't even play her worthless ass. Next up is Goyo, an actually useful operator from Operation Ember Rise.
Harsh but fair. Anyways, I think Goyo is A tier.
Not only does he have the Vector with a 1.5, his gadget is very useful.
I really like playing as Goyo, so I think A tier is good. Next is Callie. I think she's D tier.
Her sniper is extremely inconsistent, and her gadget is mediocre.
Her gadget would be a lot more useful if it wasn't countered by Jaeger ADSs and Wamai's magnets.
Put Callie in D tier.
Next is Wamai. Does he look familiar, Obama?
Shut your racist ass up, Trump.
Stop squabbling, you two. We have an operator to rank.
Fine. I think Wamai is S tier. Purely on the fact that he can destroy enemies' utility like Jaeger.
Not only that, he has a 1.5 on the MP5K.
Well, there are no complaints from me. Drop him in S.
Next is Iana.
I think S tier. She is one of the best solo queue operators in the game.
And she has grenades.
Iana is just an all-around great operator. Put her in S, Obama.
Will do. Next is Oryx.
I think A tier. After his buff to his hatch climbing speed in Season 2, he is much better.
I think A is too high, Don. While his buff was great, he isn't on the level of the A tier operators.
He does have the bailiff and barbed wire. I think he should go in B tier.
B tier is fine.
Putting Oryx in B.
Next up is Ace. We all know he is S tier.
Yep, he's the best hard breacher in the game.
Definitely. He has the AK-12 and can open up walls super easily.
Like I said before, I don't play hard breachers, so S tier is fine.
Next is Malusi.
She's a B tier. Her gadget is great, but her guns aren't the best, and she's a 3 armor.
With a Malusi on the enemy team, you can't really get aggressive.
She would be A tier if she wasn't a 3-speed, but for right now she is B.
B she goes. Next is Zero. I think he's B tier. While his guns are amazing, his gadget kinda sucks.
Sucks is right. The Argus camera is fucking terrible. Not only is it loud as hell, but if you solo queue, you can't rely on your teammates to watch it.
Zero is heavily carried by his guns and the fact that he is a 3-speed.
Drop him in B, Obama. Next is Aruni.
Not only can she punch large holes in walls, but her primary options are pretty good.
Her laser gates are pretty good. The attackers have to either find a way around them or waste utility to disable them.
I think Aruni should go in A tier.
A is fair. Next is Flores, S tier.
Wow, Obama, you seem excited.
Of course I am. I mean, Flores literally has a drone that explodes. Reminds me of my time in office and all of the drone strikes I did.
Damn, Obama, that's super out of pocket.
Moving past Barry's obsession with bombing innocents, I think Flores should be an S tier, mainly because his entire kit is great, his gun is super reliable, and his drone can destroy enemy utility.
Very fair, Donald. Put Flores in S, Obama.
Will do.
Next is Thunderbird. I think S tier.
Slow down there, Sleepy Joe. Thunderbird is not S tier.
Let him explain, Don.
Why, thank you, George. I say Thunderbird is S tier purely because she is literally Doc, but she can heal you even if she's dead.
Bruh, never let bro in the kitchen ever again.
Bird is not S tier. Her heals are shit and she can heal the enemy. It's that simple.
Not only that, but she lost both her nitro cell and her impacts. She is F tier.
I would put Bird in F, but to put Joe's opinion into consideration, she'll be bumped up to D. But that's as high as she goes.
Thanks, Obama.
Now we have Osa.
S tier. She's great for map control.
Her guns are pretty good as well.
Osa is just a really strong operator.
Next up is Thorn. She's a similar case to Warden. People use her because she has a good gun with a 1.5.
S tier.
God damn it, Don. Thorn is a B tier.
Wrong, George. Her gun is great and her gadget is quite stupendous.
And that take was quite stupid. Like most operators, she is carried by her gun. Her gadget is pretty ass.
Yeah, Donnie Thorn goes in B tier. Keep taking those L's.
Fine. You guys just don't know a good operator when you see one.
Next is Azami. I think she's S tier.
S tier is right. Not only does she have a solid gun, but her gadget is super useful.
There isn't a whole lot to say about her.
Drop her in S, Obama.
Next is Sense. What a worthless operator.
Worthless is right, Donnie. The POF is one of the worst assault rifles in the game.
And her smokes are really easy to deal with.
She can be useful in some situations, so she's not F tier, but definitely D tier. Next is Grim. He got a bit of a buff. He can now switch between modes on his launcher.
Even with that, he's still pretty mediocre. I think C tier.
He has a pretty good loadout. His gadget is just extremely niche.
I think C tier is fair. He's pretty useful if used correctly.
Putting him in C. Next is Solus. I think this is another easy one.
Yup, easiest S tier ever.
Definitely the best roamer in the game.
Drop Solus in S, just like how you drop bombs on innocents, Barry.
Next up is Brava. I wonder what you guys think of her.
She's mid. Her drones are loud as fuck and rarely the equipment you hack are ever useful.
It takes super long to hack something and it's really loud so the enemies can hear it from a mile away.
I would say D tier, but the rest of her kit is pretty good. So I think C tier.
C tier works.
Next is Fenrir.
I think he's S tier. His traps are super strong.
With his traps, it's super easy for him to get kills.
Fenrir is definitely busted. He is 100% S tier.
Finally, we have the newest operator, Ram.
S tier. She has the R4C with a 1.5 and a 2 times.
And her boogie drones are super loud, which allows her teammates to push the objective without being heard.
She counters damn near every gadget in the game. I think one final S tier is a good place to leave off.
Well, that's it. We have finished the tier list.
Goddamn, finally. That shit took forever.
But we all had a good time making this list.
Well, I still have a couple hours of Adderall left. Y'all down to play ranked?
I'm down.
We'll have to find a fifth person. I don't trust a random.
Maybe we can get Bill to play with us.
Sounds good.
President Obama here. I just wanted to say thank you guys for the support on these videos. As of the time I'm making this, the Overwatch list has over 800 views, and the Apex list has a bit over 2.5 thousand views. If this video gets anywhere near those numbers, will be insane and highly appreciated. Also, when this video comes out, there will be a playlist called the Presidential Tier List Trilogy. This will have all of the tier lists I made with Donnie, Joe, and George. Be on the lookout for a video with all 3 tier list videos put together into a full movie. Anyways, thanks for the support, and like and subscribe for more videos. This is President Obama signing off.